Lucifer's legacy: did power and potential lead astray heaven's brightest star? Lucifer's enduring angelic attributes. As one of God's highest-ranking archangels, Lucifer was endowed with tremendous beauty, wisdom, and power before his catastrophic fall from grace. Even cast out from heaven, he retained many of his divine blessings, though he twisted them to malicious ends. Origins as heaven's highest archangel. Lucifer was part of the seraphim, the highest angelic choir, serving directly at God's throne. His name meant morning star, indicating his brilliance and radiance. Lucifer directed the angelic choirs responsible for light, creativity, and music. His only superior was God himself. This immense authority perhaps seeded Lucifer's later rebellion. Physical characteristics and abilities. Though no longer an archangel, Lucifer kept his form's celestial beauty, alluring countenance, and tall regal stature. His wings, halo, and angelic glow remained largely intact despite metaphysical corruption. Command over mystic arts, persuasion, rhetoric, and forbidden knowledge expanded after his fall. Psychological traits. Lucifer's ambition, pride, thirst for worship, and rejection of divine authority fueled his fall. Post-banishment. His intellect turned toward manipulation, cunning deceit, and talent for elaborately patient schemes against his enemies. A self-serving worldview warped his once holy gifts. Domains of influence. As the devil, Lucifer continued influencing arenas once under his archangel governance: knowledge, beauty, light, and the arts. His ties to Venus imbued him with powers of desire and temptation. Hell became his kingdom for turning souls toward depravity. The fallen angels' mixed blessings. Lucifer demonstrates how without ethics, gifts become weapons. His blessings now further his ego and evil rather than divine work. Forced to choose between Lucifer's splendor or substantive truth, may mankind recognize that righteous character and wisdom outweigh superficial charm or cunning. The allure and duplicity of Lucifer's beauty. As an archangel, Lucifer's radiant visage and celestial grace awed other angels. After his fall, his commanding beauty became a tool of deception to hide sinister intent. Outward Lucifer echoes his former glory, but inward he is corrupted. Heavenly patron of music and arts. Lucifer once governed muses, creativity, and music in heaven. His artistic touch inspired angelic choirs and heavenly harmonies praising God. Beauty flowed effortlessly from his gifts. Now Lucifer perverts the arts to stoke vanity and gluttony. Surface appeal and superficial splendor. In Eden, Lucifer as a serpent appeared to Eve resplendent, cunning, and sympathetic, concealing his true purpose in spurning God. His beauty masked deception. Today, the devil can still assume enticing illusions to lead humanity astray through sensual pleasures and greed. As Lucifer once concealed wickedness behind angelic beauty, so too can those who seem appealing hide dark motives and malicious intent. Judging merely by charisma equates to superficiality. True discernment requires looking past the surface to underlying character and light within. The divine gifts of Lucifer's former grace highlight the need to balance outward talents with inward wisdom and moral compass. External charm absent ethics breeds only deception, while authentic beauty elevates the soul. Forbidden knowledge and twisted wisdom. Lucifer's immense archangel intellect became warped into cunning manipulation post-fall. His forbidden knowledge, used selfishly to elevate himself rather than serve others, enabled elaboration, lies, and moral relativism. The serpent's guile in Eden. In Eden, Lucifer's shrewd rhetoric convinced Eve that usurping God's solitary rule would make her more enlightened, when it only spurred sin and death. His persuasiveness calculatedly mixed flattery, conjecture, and false promises to achieve domination. Crafting alternative narratives. Lucifer's brilliance for spinning counter-narratives justified his rebellion and casting aspersions on God's legitimacy. In his solipsism, Lucifer's victimhood and defiance became righteous rather than sinful. His revisionist history deceived himself and disciples. Intellect without empathy. Lucifer's immense knowledge, detached from compassion, empathy and ethics, creates narratives where destroying enemies becomes moral necessity rather than sin. Wisdom without love breeds willful ignorance of harm inflicted upon others and the world. The arrogance of assuming superior insight. Presuming access to hidden knowledge and personal superiority has always characterized the fallen angel. But rather than achieving enlightenment, his hubris breeds judgment, domination, control, and demagoguery. It reflects the worst in humanity rather than the best. Wisdom rightly applied to benefit others is godly. But Lucifer's gifted mind and learning, tragically corrupted by pride and ego, sowed ongoing misuse and deception. May humanity take heed not to follow in the footsteps of the fallen morning star's self-serving machinations. Abuse of power and authority. As an archangel, Lucifer exercised immense power and authority in heaven. But his hunger for ever greater control led to his rebellion and fall. Now as Satan, Lucifer continues to abuse privileges and dominate others for selfish gain rather than selfless service. Seeking godlike power. Dissatisfied with his high rank, Lucifer coveted powers reserved only for God himself. This manifests in Satan's ongoing quest to usurp worship, obedience, and souls which rightfully belong to the Creator, not his creation. Corruption of former divine authority. Once solely using archangel authority for good, Lucifer now exploits his former privileges to achieve diabolical ends through coercion, temptations, false promises, and abusing trust. His means corrupt otherwise neutral forms of power. Domination and subjugation. Cast from heaven for rejecting God's sovereignty, Satan remains determined to exert his personal sovereignty over humanity through force, threats, or psychological manipulation. He demands subjects rather than cultivating independent free-willed partners. The importance of accountability and oversight. As an archangel only God oversaw Lucifer, enabling his unchecked rebellion. Unbalanced power requires transparency and accountability to avoid despotism. Lucifer's fall personifies how power sans ethics corrupts even the best. The blessings of authority must balance responsibility, ethics, and oversight. Lucifer's cautionary tale warns against the dangers of pride, greed, control, and dehumanization spawned by might for self-glorification rather than empowerment of others. Our choices determine whether privileges uplift or oppress.